So the Democratic House rep from Texas, Jasmine Crockett, says Americans don't really want to work. Therefore, we got to have the migrants to come pick the fruit and make the beds. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Jasmine Crockett saying that Americans are becoming more educated, we're becoming more affluent, therefore we are too good to be picking fruit, making beds, working the fields, as she called it. Now, there's a lot I want to say. First of all, there are some Americans who don't want to do those jobs. However, there are a lot of other Americans who don't have jobs and they're trying to find something. But when they go to work in a chicken plant, when they go to work in the warehouse, when they go to drive trucks, when they go to pretty much do anything, the preference is given to the illegal aliens, migrants, H-1Bs, whatever you want to call them. And when we complain about that, the excuse is you guys don't want to work. You guys don't want to do anything. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that there's not an issue with work ethic in this country. Again, I'm not going to say that there's not an issue with work ethic in this country. However, to just blatantly say that Americans don't want to work, I think that's ridiculous. Now, before I go too far into it, I got a couple of clips for you guys. This young lady right here, I have no idea who this woman is, but she says, you know what, the leader or the future leaders of the Democratic Party should be Jasmine Crockett and AOC.
I think it's high time for the boys to step aside and let the ladies take over. It's time for Jasmine Crockett and AOC. It's time for the ladies.
What do y'all think? You agree with her? You think that Jasmine Crockett and AOC are going to do a good job of running the country? How about Jasmine Crockett and AOC on the 2028 Democratic presidential ticket? Don't put in the obvious guy, Gavin Newsom. Don't put in Big Mike. Put in this young lady right here. You know what? I'm going to say something nice before we get to Jasmine Crockett in this video from a year or two ago. It might have just been last year. But before I get into this, I want to say something nice about Big Mike. I call Michelle Obama Big Mike. I make the jokes. Some are going to get offended, get mad at me, call the police on me, whatever. Okay, that's fine. But what I will say about Big Mike is that she is a much better politician and has much better presence than this halfway hood rat, halfway suburb chick, and the other young lady from the Bronx. Okay, allegedly, AOC. Big Mike is light years beyond these people, although I would never in a million years ever vote for any of them. But let's watch this. This is 2024.
Sad that we've got these cities and these towns that are being overrun by gangs and the crime out of control. I absolutely agree with that. And guess what? It's the MAGA gang. It is the white supremacists that have decided to descend upon places such as Springfield, Ohio. So I agree with him. I just disagree with who the problems are. The problems are him and his minions. The problems aren't the people that have come to make our economy stronger, the people that have actually been able to help to continue to make sure that we got out of the big hole that he put us in after COVID-19 with his ineptness. Like, yeah, I agree that there are problems in our communities, but usually it's some white supremacists on the other side, he said.
Let's pause for a second. Now, let's give some context and clarify some things. She's saying that the problems that took place in Springfield, Ohio, and that may still be going on, that was the MAGA people, the MAGA gang, who caused those problems, when in reality, it was the migrants. Listen, if you have a small city, town, whatever you want to call it, 55,000 people, and you add in 20,000 Haitians to the population, it's going to be problems. It's going to be obvious cultural problems, language barriers. They can't drive cars properly, no driver's licenses. And you're going to cause the cost of living to increase because they're being subsidized by the government, by the magic cards. There were so many problems the migrant crisis caused. It's kind of immeasurable. The Democrats will say we had to do it because of the inflation. We had to bring in the cheap labor. but they also spent $450 billion every year to bring the migrants. So I don't really understand. All right, let's keep on going here. This is the more recent clip of her talking about the migrants and how they're necessary for our country to keep going. And Americans, we become educated, we become more skilled. We don't want to do those jobs. All right, let's go ahead and watch.
How many of you are sending your kids to college to go and work on them? Okay, well, guess who is working the farms? So that you can afford your food.
So that you can have food.
So that you can have food. Now, how many of you are looking to send your kids into hospitality after this college education so that they can go and make the beds at the hotels? How many of you are planning to send your kids to college? Because that's what we do here. We send everybody to college. How many of you are planning to send your kids to college so that they can then go and build these houses? So the reality is that so long as we live in a capitalist society, there's always going to be someone or a group of people that will do work that some of the rest of y'all don't want to do. These are the people that are really making us great in this country.
All right, so there we go. So you get the idea. She's saying, look, you got to have the migrants because if the migrants aren't here, then you guys are not going to work. You guys are not going to do anything. Now, last I checked, the migrant crisis is a new thing. The influx of all these people is a new thing. So how did this country survive without the migrant crisis? How did we survive? How did we get anything done? We used to actually produce things in this. We had factories. We were really into farms. At one point, the United States was 90% agrarian, which means that we were farmers. We grew our own food and we made things here. So what changed? What changed? Slavery ended? No, because after slavery, we were still agrarian. After slavery, we still had factories. Factories are still here up until what, 70s, 80s, maybe 90s. And we still have factory capacity here. Now, what we got to do is bring the factory capacity back and bring back an idea of self-reliance rather than being reliant upon foreign slave labor, because that's what it is. Keep it all the way real. You're talking about capitalism. Well, capitalism is not the same thing as slavery. It's not the same thing as importing illegal aliens. If the illegal aliens weren't there, then the job still got to get done or we're not going to have what we need. So a lot of people do go to college. And then something else you said, we send everybody to college. Yes, we do send everybody to college, or we send a lot of our youth to college, although I don't think they all should go to college. I mean, some people have no business being in college at all, or maybe not in a really high level program. You got people that have these college degrees in underwater basket weaving and some ridiculous thing that they're never going to use. They get saddled with student loan debt and they're struggling every day just to make ends meet when they could have just been having a farm, working on the land, doing something like this, having an alpaca farm, having a strawberry farm, doing something like that. They could have been doing something else other than what they're doing. And as far as farm work, building houses, things of this nature, I knew guys in high school that were doing this kind of work. I mean, it's not that difficult. We're talking about building houses. It's not that hard, to be totally honest. I mean, some of the more serious things like your electrical, plumbing, maybe electrical especially, but framing, it ain't that. And they got prefab stuff. All you doing is just putting it together. It's not that difficult. A lot of these illegal aliens come over here with no construction skills at all. Everything's prefab. All they got to do is hammer it together, nail it together. That's it. And they're so unskilled that a lot of the work is shoddy. We've seen some of these corporations, what's that, D.R. Horton? Absolutely horrible. They're bringing in this cheap illegal alien labor. The houses are slapped together. It's poor. It's terrible work. We need to reinvest into our youth to give them pride in building things and creating things and owning things. And if we don't do that, we're going to be dependent upon slave labor. And I thought that we abolished that in this country. But as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to Jasmine Crockett for at least bringing up the conversation. Some are going to agree with me. Some are going to agree with her. But I want to hear what you guys think. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about what Jasmine Crockett said? Is she on point, off point? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. There is some truth to what she's saying, but it's not 100% the truth. There are plenty of people, plenty of hardworking Americans trying to find work, trying to make ends meet. But then when they go to this place, that place, okay, we got migrants in front of you. Why? Because they'll work for a lower amount of money. They never take any days off. It's you're taking advantage of people in bad situations, and they're being subsidized by the government. They get better treatment than us. They are treated better by the federales and the employers. If they weren't here, then it would force the people and the employers to come to an agreement. Okay, I don't have any more STEMI money. I don't have this, that, and the third to rely upon. And I want to get this from the store. I want to get that from the store. What am I going to do? A lot of people who are underemployed, unemployed, who could go out there and do some physical labor, our young men especially, should be out there doing those jobs rather than foreign people doing those jobs and enriching themselves in the process. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.